What's up guys, Matt from Greendorfen here, taking a few bong rips for freedom on this video this morning. We're going to be touching on bong water, which is something that many people don't really consider when they look at smoking their weed. So they'll usually just chuck any old tap water into their water piece before hitting a dab or hitting their vape or a cone or whatever they're thinking of punching through. But really, when you look at water quality, we have to consider using filtered water for our water pieces. Because if you're just going to be using straight tap water, the chlorine and metals and stuff that are really pertinent in common mains tap water is going to play havoc on your health. So the sort of least thing that you can do if you don't have a water filter, you just have access to normal tap water, at least fill up a bottle, let it sit on the table with nothing on the top for about an hour and a half. Because chlorine that's present in water to get rid of any impurities or insects that may sit in there when it's passing from the treatment facility to your house. During that time, the chlorine sits in the water, it remains stagnant, and if you're not going to let that bubble off in a gas, the results could just be really hazardous. So obviously with a bong, it's a lot different than just drinking water. If you're drinking water, you're ingesting it, it's gonna be bad. But when we're talking about gases, actually inhaling through something and breathing through into your lungs, yeah, it can have some really awful repercussions. So the best thing to do, if you can get yourself a good quality water filter with a carbon filter that's gonna help to leach out any of that chlorine, that's just gonna be fantastic. It's gonna make sure that when you're hitting your bong, it's gonna just be in the healthiest way possible. Also, when you're looking at sort of structured water, so grander boards and stuff like this one here that help to return the water to its original molecular structure, that really helps to get rid of any impurities. So when water has its tight-knit structure, sort of the H2O that many people are aware of, it is really difficult for any impurities to latch themselves onto those cells. But when water is passing through mains and is being compressed and the whole osmosis thing occurs and there's just pressure in abundance, it's really easy for that structure to get messed up a little bit and potential impurities and other diseases in the water and contaminants to leach themselves onto those H2O cells. So the water that you're ingesting isn't exactly the water that your cells need. So obviously our body being made up of close to 70% water, those water cells need to be constantly replenished. And if you're not replenishing them with proper H2O and using something that's not being that well structured, it's just not going to be as good for your health, and your own body's internal pH can be mucked up a bit there. So when we look at other possible solutions for bong water, I like to use peace water. So peace water is a filtered water-like solution that contains a number of nutrients and minerals that help to keep that bong clean for longer. So whether you're using a little dab rig like this one, a vaporizer like the Hydrology 9 that has an included aqua bubbler, or just your general everyday straight up and down tube bong, using this peace water is going to help keep your bong water clean for longer. So normally after every couple of hits, I would generally recommend to change the water over if you're using flour. Obviously for hash and oil and sort of vaped herb, it's a bit of a different story as you're not getting that carcinogen and sort of the burnt herb particles coming through. But when you're using a common everyday bong, using peace water, you can extend the life of that water up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time. And obviously in each one of these bottles, you can easily get 4, 5, 6 fills. So if you're looking to get away with getting your bong hits for longer without having to clean it, get all that resin stuck up the side as well, and get the isotonic in there to give it a nice clean, look at picking up some peace water because it's going to make that whole process a lot easier. So that's it guys. When it comes to your bong, always use clean filtered water. Grind the water if possible to keep the majority of those impurities at bay. But also if you're just dealing with normal house sort of common water from the mains, make sure to pour a glass, let it sit for an hour so those chlorine gases can evaporate off before putting it into your bong. Because when you think about the temperatures sort of the herb and the smoke as you're inhaling, that passing through the water, converting some of it to steam, it's certainly going to pick up whatever impurities are just laying dormant in that. So when you're using a bong or vape or dab rig at all guys, make sure you're using clean and filtered water because it's going to give you the best experience possible. Thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest in weed news and tech.